Welcome, all you sinners and sodomites, to Bible Stories for Atheists. I am Josh.
I'm Linz.
Look on Liz's face. And we are your guides to the gloriously gory stories, literally, literarily littering the Bible.
It was a very aggressive beginning to this podcast.
Yeah. It's an aggressive episode. So in the last episode, we learned that water somehow pre-existed the universe. God created the sun after he created the earth. Adam and Eve sinned, but weren't clear on the sin. The snake lost its legs and apparently its voice. Snake. And they were all cast out of Eden. In this episode, we talk about Cain and Abel, the other original sin.
Murder.
Yeah. And we talk about the flood.
Oh, wow. We packed a lot into this.
Yeah, we did.
I think when we went through this stuff, I was in my head thinking that Cain and Abel would be like way more significant part of the Bible.
A bigger part.
Yeah. And it was like a blip.
Yeah. I feel like that's a running theme for a lot of this. Like, people blow up these relatively small stories into a lot more significance than they really seem to have in the writing itself.
Right.
Anyway, when it comes to the flood, we really focus on the version of the flood story that's in the Bible and how that got there, like specifically that version. But Religion for Breakfast recently did a video on the flood and the origins of the flood myth. And I think it's really great. It's a bunch of stuff we don't talk about in this. It's called The Pre-Biblical Origins of Noah's Flood. And again, that's Religion for Breakfast is the channel. The earliest we can tell, a story like this was told in 1900 BCE. That's the earliest we know of that a flood myth was getting told in this area of the world, right?
Gotcha.
When I was a Christian, I would have just said, well, that's because it's true. So, of course, they're telling it back then.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
The problem with that is that the person in the story is not Noah, and none of the gods involved are Yahweh.
Sure.
Right? So, yet this long predates the version of the story that's in the Bible itself. So, highly recommend that video.
Cool.
Yeah.
Have some religion for breakfast.
Have some religion for breakfast. Yes.
Gross. That doesn't sound like a good way to start your day. Have it for lunch.
Right. For brunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So strap in and strap on for Killing Cain.
Dun, dun, dun.
Settling on in. You got your notepad ready because we've got some long readings lately.
I'm getting all my clickies out though, because this is something that I will do on accident.
Right. And then I have to try and edit them out.
And then you're like, stop it! What are you doing?
God, if I had a nickel for every like I cut out of our show.
Oh my gosh. From me specifically?
From you specifically, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Me too. I do it a lot too. I don't know if it's a Michigan thing or if it's just like growing up in the 90s and watching like...
You just said it like twice.
Yeah.
You can't help it.
Just say like watching Clueless and stuff, you know, like we were just doomed to say like a lot.
Yeah. I don't get it. But when I listen to the podcast, I notice the fact that you cut some out and I'm still like, oh my God, I say like all the time.
Yeah.
Means I say it a lot more than I'm even hearing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great.
But if it makes you feel any better, I don't think anybody really hears it.
No.
You know, unless you put it in a podcast, then they definitely hear it. But like
in conversation.
But if you're just talking.
Right.
Yeah. So that has nothing to do with the Bible. Now the man knew his wife, Eve, and she conceived and bore Cain, saying, I have produced a man with the help of the Lord. Next, she bore his brother, Abel. Now Abel was a keeper of sheep, and Cain a tiller of the ground. In the course of time, Cain brought to the Lord an offering of fruit of the ground, and Abel, for his part, brought of the firstlings of his flock their fat portions. And the Lord had regard for Abel and his offering. But for Cain and his offering, he had no regard. So Cain was very angry, and his countenance fell. The Lord said to Cain, "Why are you angry? And why has your countenance fallen? If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin is lurking at the door. Its desire is for you, but you must master it." God's turning into like Yoda.
Yeah.
Master it, you must.
I think that's you.
I am just reading the words on the page. The Bible is black and white, Lindsay.
Well,
the text is black and white and sometimes red.
So Eve gave birth to fully grown men?
So they've grown up.
Did they grow up? Because it skipped all of that. Unless you skipped all of that.
I mean, I guess if you read it that way.
It was like she gave birth to a man.
She conceived and bore Cain, saying, "I have produced a man with the help of the Lord." And then she bore his brother Abel.
And then instantly they were keeper of sheep and whatever.
A tiller of the ground.
Yeah. So like no childhood.
It's what it does.
It sounds like she pushed out full-grown men. No wonder it fucking hurts.
Well, no wonder she needed the help of the Lord.
Right.
Yeah. And what's funny is like we're gonna get to this, but like that is a thing of women giving birth to giants in the Bible pretty soon. So yeah.
Fun.
So it's funny that you say that. I think
they were children.
They were children.
But why would you skip over that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Why not talk about them growing up?
Yeah, if they're the first man and woman on Earth, and these are the first children born to the first man and woman on Earth,
right?
Why wouldn't you talk about what happens from the time they're fucking born?
Adam and Eve weren't babies.
Right.
So they this is the first time there's human babies.
How did she know that? Like, did she breastfeed them?
Right.
Right? Did
they have to have a conversation about masturbation?
Right.
You know?
Wouldn't you like to know how that went?
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, all of a sudden they're men and giving shit to the Lord. The Lord likes sheep more than he likes crops.
That is what it sounds like, right? So if you remember from episode 1, the entire reason that God makes Adam
is to till the earth.
Is because there was no one to till the earth.
Right.
So why is he turning away the produce of tilling the earth?
Right. And why all of a sudden did animals need tending? They didn't need tending before.
They didn't say anything about the animals needing tending. No, they need naming. He needed somebody to... Really, God invented a band name generator, didn't he? He
literally has done what everyone has done to men for eternity, is given them fucking just busy work to do.
Naming rights.
Because can't do anything else.
Right. Just figure out what we're going to name this stuff.
What he doesn't say in the Bible is that he made Eve not because he thought Adam was lonely.
Yeah.
It's because he needed an in-between.
Oh my God.
He got tired of fucking talking to Adam and all of Adam's stupid questions. So he's like, I'm going to give you somebody to go through. I'm going to make middle management for you to deal with. And Eve will talk to me.
Yeah.
You don't talk to me anymore.
This is definitely a stretch, but she's the Wendy Torrance of the Bible. If you don't remember Wendy Torrance, that's the name from The Shining, the wife.
Oh, Shelley Duvall.
Shelley Duvall's character from where so Jack is like this alcoholic that
got a job,
but doesn't seem to actually do any work as the movie goes on.
Yeah.
I'm talking specifically about the movie. I never read the book. And then Shelley Duvall's character, Wendy, seems to be the person who does all the work in the hotel.
No, Eve definitely is that. And then, Adam's the one that gets all the fucking credit. Eve is the reason for original sin. Much like everyone fucking loves Jack Nicholson in that movie.
Right.
And everyone else is like, who's the lady that played the wife?
Right.
In The Shining? I think she was also Olive Oil in the Popeye movie, right?
Those people just cannot appreciate a strong female character. Which she wasn't.
I mean, listen.
Yeah.
This is not a podcast about The Shining, but I would debate you on that. Her husband was trying to fucking kill her.
I debate you on this is not a podcast about The Shining. You debate me on that she wasn't a strong character.
Yeah.
She was. Yeah. In the end.
Yes.
But she like overall she wasn't meant to be
very annoying voice.
She wasn't meant to be a strong character, but she did have strength.
Yes.
It seems like
she had to.
I'm glad I mansplained that to you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I wouldn't have gotten it.
So let's go through some excuses that Christians have for this.
Okay.
Cain gave begrudgingly. It had nothing to do with vegetables or meat.
Did it say that he gave begrudgingly?
He did not.
Oh, is it because they know what happens
next?
Is this a little bit of those things where like they know what happens next in the story, so they're turning Cain into like an asshole character?
Nothing I can think of that happens next would make me think he gave begrudgingly.
I know, but
right.
We know he's the asshole, right? He's the villain.
That's actually not entirely how I feel about how it's written. I'm talking about how it's written.
Okay, but let's think about generally consensus is that Cain's the villain.
Kind of, yeah.
And me saying this not as somebody who's really read the Bible,
sure,
ever for the most part, and what I know about pop culture is Cain is generally like the mark of Cain is not a good thing, right? Yeah. So in general, in my head, Cain's the villain. Yeah. Or he's been set up to be the villain. Whether the story actually says that or not, we know doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah. Okay.
So do you think that because the people know and have created him as the villain, they can back into like, well, of course he's the villain. Of course he didn't want to give God.
Oh, yeah.
They're for their excuses.
Yeah, they can decide that that's the case, right? But it's not like. But what I thought you were asking is there something that comes later in the story that would make that?
Oh, no. The reason
valid.
why they make the insinuate or they think that he would have given begrudgingly is because they've already know that he's the villain. Yeah,
they've already decided he's the villain.
Well, in their head, they know he's the villain.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's one excuse. And these are all kind of similar. They read into it that it says that Abel gave the best part of his flock, but doesn't explicitly say that Cain's was the best of his harvest. So maybe Cain gave some of his produce and Abel was like, ha, I shall give the best of my flock and I shall one up you, brother. Yeah. That's my guess of what he would.
Do you feel like God feels like they're giving him like presents back that he gave them?
If I was God, I would. They're regifting. I'd be like, I made those for you. I know about those things.
Stop killing things.
Yeah, I don't need them back.
I made them.
I'm God. I don't need anything
for you.
I don't need anything, especially from any of you.
I actually wish you would just stop talking to me so much.
I've got other stuff going on.
Yeah.
I made angels just for you guys to talk to them about. They're kind of like angels are kind of like the Shelley Duvall character of. I also found some folks saying that it wasn't Abel's best, but it was Abel's first of his flock.
Okay.
Right? Cain waited around until he had enough to comfortably sacrifice, but Abel gave his firstlings. which is what it actually says, is that he gave his firstlings.
Okay.
It's interesting, though, that there is no one reason.
Do they eat sheep back then?
Even though like all these people are praying to the same God, asking for clarity on this stuff, there is no one reason for this stuff. You know, they give a lot of different excuses. Cain said to his brother Abel, "Let us go out to the field." And when they were in the field, Cain rose up against his brother Abel and killed him. Then the Lord said to Cain, "Where is your brother Abel?" He said, "I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper?" And the Lord said, "What have you done? Listen, your brother's blood is crying out to me from the ground, and you are cursed from the ground, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you till the ground, it will no longer yield to you its strength. You will be a fugitive and a wanderer on the earth." Cain said to the Lord, "My punishment is greater than I can bear. Today you have driven me away from the soil, and I will be hidden from your face. I shall be a fugitive and a wanderer on the earth, and anyone who meets me may kill me." Then the Lord said to him, "Not so. Whoever kills Cain will suffer a sevenfold vengeance." And the Lord put a mark on Cain, so that no one who came upon him would kill him. Then Cain went away from the presence of the Lord and settled in the land of Nod, east of Eden. So the mark of Cain is actually not that bad of a thing. It says that if you kill him, then then God will have vengeance on you.
Sevenfold.
Yeah. Avenged sevenfold.
Yeah. Are they a Christian band?
I think so.
I think
now
we just figured out they might be.
Yeah.
Okay, so he kills his brother because God liked his brother's sheep more than he liked his plants. So that is a bit of a overreaction. Where's their parents? Are they dead at this point?
No, they're not. They'll come back in a minute.
Okay.
But they don't really have much to say about this.
Oh, great parents.
Yeah.
I guess that's what happens when you just throw babies on people who have never, existed before. Yeah.
They don't have belly buttons. Why is there a hole in this one? I think we broke it.
So God has to ask what happened?
Right. Yeah.
Or is it one of those things like when you ask a child, like you come home and something's broken or a dog, and you're like, "What did you do?"
Right.
And they're like, "I didn't do anything." And you're standing amongst the chaos that they created while you were gone.
The dead dog next to the alive one.
Yeah.
What did you do?
Right. So, I guess if it's that sort of questioning, then I could let God off the hook for that one. But it really feels like he didn't know.
I know. It really does.
Especially when he's like, Abel's blood is calling to me from the ground. What the fuck does that mean?
Its mouth open to Abel's blood.
Mouth open to Abel's blood. Also, what does that mean?
And this is like the same, this is coming right after from our last episode where God is like, "Where are you?" What did you do? So the way God is written in this part of the Bible is very much like he does not have all knowledge, or anything. So.
Right, he's not all seeing.
Right, so much more likely that he is an extraterrestrial, actually, in this version of the story.
Yeah, I can see that. He just rolls up in a spaceship and it's like, "What happened while I was gone?"
Yeah. Like something out of Rick and Morty.
The ground has actual mouths in it.
Yeah.
And they're like, nom, nom, nom.
Abel's blood.
Give me blood.
Oh my God.
Okay. So God's pissed.
Yeah.
Because Cain killed his brother and forces him to wander the world forever. So are we saying that like Cain would be wandering the earth today?
I don't think so. I don't think there's anything that's like he was going to wander forever. Because we get
his death.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head if we see his death, but we see like he has kids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It sounds like another explanation for why is it so goddamn hard to farm when God is supposed to be good, right? Another time where Israelites are asking this. And it's interesting because in the last episode, we had an explanation for that. It was that because of the original sin, because of Adam eating the fruit, that it was going to be hard to till the soil.
And now it's even harder.
Yeah, I guess so.
And that plays out, that aligns with actual, I'm going to say the dirty word here, evolution.
Putting the Eve in evolution.
Because when people transition from being hunter-gatherers to farmers, their lives did get a lot harder. The fact that they stayed in one place, the fact that they had to depend on certain crops and had to become dependent on like weather cycles, and whether there were droughts or pestilence or anything like that. You can
see the literature aspect of this, where it actually is talking about something that is going on, a transition, like you're saying, from hunter gatherers to agricultural and stuff. Yeah.
For sure. So Cain was worried that if he was sent out of Eden, that he and was a wanderer, that other people would kill him.
Right.
Where did these other people come from? Because up until now,
his siblings, right?
Up until now, yeah. I mean, were there other Adams and Eves in other parts of the world that were doing the same exact thing?
Yeah.
At the same time? Or like, did God just choose to tell this one story to us and was also popping up people all over the place?
Right. Yeah, I know.
And why aren't we getting those stories?
Yeah. So the way I was raised, it would be to say like, okay, because we're gonna get to this, but Cain and Abel aren't the only kids Adam and Eve have.
Sure.
But also it never mentions any daughters, so likely they also had daughters, but they didn't mention it. So then they all have incest babies.
Yes.
Right. And then that's who we are.
Right. Incest babies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Many times over.
But there's a whole nother land. The land of Nod. Which sounds like something out of a fucking fairy tale.
Yeah.
The land of Nod.
Well, they probably got that from the Bible.
Sleepy.
Yeah. I know.
It's where the Sandman lives.
Yeah.
To assure him or assuade him of this. Is that right?
Assuage.
Is it assuage? Him of this fear. God's like, no, your suffering is going to be all mine. I'm going to put a mark on you. Lets everyone know you're my bitch. And if they put their hands on you, I'm going to fuck them up hard.
Right.
So your suffering belongs to me. And so now he's rocking around with basically a prison tat of God's name on him.
Yeah. Well, we're not really sure what the mark is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people think it's just being black.
Oh, I have heard that actually.
Yeah.
Which
doesn't make any sense.
God's bitch in like Aramaic or something.
Yeah. I don't know. But that doesn't make any sense if you happen to come across anybody who thinks that. It doesn't make any sense because right after this, we're going to end up getting to the flood.
Right.
And
that's supposed to be the curse of Ham or something like that. Isn't it?
And then you get like the sons of Noah. Like we're all descended from the sons of Noah,
right? And
so they would have branched off into the different races. So whatever the mark of Cain was, it wasn't real. I did have a thought about this. I was really surprised when I was looking up reasons for Cain's rejection. Nothing about the verse on its face makes you think that Cain isn't simply trying to do what God wants. When I read this, it seemed like a story about a guy trying to do the right thing, just like his brother. But when his brother has God's favor or has good luck or good fortune, whatever you want to call it, he responds with violent envy over his brother. I think this is actually a good story warning you to be careful about how you respond to another person's good fortune. But that moral gets lost when you have to force it to be consistent with the other depictions of God in the Bible.
Right. It reminds me of that one story we read about what's his name and what's his name? The two brothers. One of them was red and hairy. Esau.
Jacob and Esau.
Yeah. Like that one didn't go to that extreme. Like one of them didn't kill the other one, but there was definitely like...
There's a lot of that,
yeah.
Especially like coming up. Yeah, two brothers at odds is a very much a recurring theme throughout Genesis.
Well, and I mean, you're an only child, so you personally don't know. But families who have multiple children, and many of them are boys, and the boys are fighting with each other, like it's definitely chalked up to like, well, that's just the way boys are.
Oh, yeah. Boys will be boys.
Be a conflict with each other.
Yeah.
Even in the Bible, none of the brothers could get along.
No.
Instead of being like, stop.
Yeah, because there's...
Just stop. Yeah. Stop doing it.
So then we get this where it says Cain knew his wife and she conceived and bore Enoch. And he built a city and named it Enoch after his son, Enoch. Then it tells you a few more generations. Then we get to Lamech, who has a very small poem. Lamech said to his wives, Ada and Zillah, hear my voice. You wives of Lamech, listen to what I say. I have killed a man for wounding me, a young man for striking me. If Cain is avenged sevenfold, truly Lamech 77-fold.
This is like, we're generations in at this point. Like, is this where all the...
a couple generations in, yeah.
Okay. So wait. Sorry, I'm just trying to wrap my head around how far we already are into this family. So
I mean, don't. Yeah, like we're jumping around with this. Like we're gonna be getting generations of people and stuff like that coming up. So don't worry about like we're not following these people. This is just like a thing. The only thing that's weird about this is that it says if Cain is avenged sevenfold, truly Lamech 77-fold.
Yeah, why?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a weird thing.
He just says that and then they move on?
Yeah.
In the Bible?
Yeah.
Motherfuckers.
I know.
Like, who is this guy? Why even say it then? Why even put that in the fucking Bible?
Because he's probably in some other fucking book. From back then, right? Like he's some figure that like the other people already know about Lamech. I mean, he's fucking Lamech, you know? Oh, but this says this little thing about him, you know?
So frustrating.
Yeah. Then we get Adam knew his wife again, and she bore a son and named him Seth, for she said, God has appointed me another child instead of Abel, because Cain killed him. To Seth, also a son was born, and he named him Enosh. At that time, people began to invoke the name of the Lord. I asked ChatGPT about what does it mean to invoke the name of the Lord? What is that?
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ. That's what they all started walking around. Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
That's a cool name.
Enosh.
You should remember that.
You named
name,
your kid
Jesus
Enosh?
Christ.
Jesus Christ.
So you like to Enosh on some nachos? Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
Invoking the name of the Lord seems to be basically, this is when people started worshiping God, right? They started forming rituals to worship God, like trying to sacrifice to God.
Right.
You know,
right.
And learning, oh, God hates vegetables.
Yes.
God is a child.
Only living things with a heartbeat must you kill for God.
Right. Only wants to eat chicken tenders with ketchup.
Evil.
Genesis 5 starts with, this is the descendants of Adam. The entire chapter is basically just a list of descendants from Seth to Noah.
Okay.
This is where you see a lot of when Seth had lived 105 years. He became the father of Enosh. Seth lived after the birth of Enosh 807 years and had other sons and daughters. Thus, all the days of Seth were 912 years and he died. What's interesting, though, is that this chapter doesn't seem to come from any of the 4 sources. So you remember we talked about how the first 5 books of the Bible, modern scholarship tells us that it was written by at least 4 different sources. 4 different people wrote them. They were put together by at least one other person called a redactor. This appears to be, the entire chapter appears to be a writing that the redactor added to this. The redactor seems to have had another book called The Book of Generations. This is according to Dr. Richard Elliott Friedman. The redactor seemed to have another book called The Book of Generations, and that they were using as sort of a framework for how everybody in all these different stories were related.
Okay.
Right? Like you set up a family tree. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Just to have consistency.
Right.
Quote unquote.
Yeah. You got to make people live 900 years to make it consistent, but sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what this seems to be coming from. And a couple other times throughout Genesis, we get some excerpts from this other book.
Yeah.
Adam lived 930 years before he died. No information on Eve, of course.
Right. She's probably still alive.
Well, that's my guess.
Yeah.
Adam, total lifespan, 930 years. Seth, 912. Enosh, 905. Kenan, 910. 895. It's a bunch of them. Lamech,
yeah.
777 years. It's a different Lamech, apparently.
Oh.
Than the one we were talking about earlier.
Lots of 7s.
Apparently, unless
that
it's
name.
duplicated. Yeah. Interesting one. So Noah's great-grandfather, Enoch.
Not the same Enoch that named the city Enoch, or the same?
Not the same one.
Okay.
Total lifespan, 365 years. But it says Enoch walked with God. Then he was no more because God took him. He is considered in tradition to be the only person to never die because God just took him.
Oh,
Yeah, I know. It's just this weird thing in this list of people's ages and everything where this is one guy. It's like he didn't die. God took him. And there's a reason for that. And the reason is because of an entirely different writing that's not in the Bible called the Book of Enoch.
Huh.
So we'll get to that one day.
Okay.
But
and what Josh means by that is it looks like he's only halfway through the book right now.
Right. It'll be another series.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Oh God. But I already have so many questions. So hurry up and skip to something else.
And then it just says, after Noah was 500 years old, Noah became the father of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And we're about to get into the story of Noah.
Okay.
So do you have anything else about this?
I do. Because we don't know. This is all men.
Yes. We don't know anything.
There's no ladies on the list.
No. So at this point, I'm pretty sure guys were just having sex with each other.
Right. And producing children.
Yes.
Cool. I don't know why they took away that option, but
right.
I wish they'd bring it back.
Yeah.
Do you think that the women who, say, the mother of the sons of Noah, right? He was 500 years old.
Noah's wife. Yeah.
Yeah. When he had children.
Right. Was she 500?
Yes.
Right. No, she was probably 12.
Right. That's what I'm wondering is like they lived 900 years and kept having children the whole time.
Right.
Like was obviously probably wasn't with the same wife.
Yeah. No, no indication so far of multiple wives.
Well, that's not true. Lamech had
two
no,
wives. You're right. You're right. That's the only thing I can think of.
Right.
That would show that Lamech. Yeah.
He had 2.
I guess there might have been a few other references to multiple wives, but Yeah, it's I don't know. Maybe that's what's going on. They don't talk about it though.
Right. I would love to know, because
I would imagine women are living a long time too, though.
Yeah,
because like
but are
Noah's
they having
wife
children when they're 500?
Yeah, I would imagine.
What happened
Yeah.
that now women should only have children up until their 40s now?
Right. I know. I always kind of thought this was interesting because obviously, why are they living to that age at all?
Right.
And I always thought of like, why is it we don't live that long anymore? And it kind of does seem like, as you're reading through, as you get further away from Eden, lifespans decrease. And I kind of wonder if that was intentional on the part of like the redactors or whatever,
right.
like to do that, because I think that's the idea is like, as you get further away from Eden, lifespans decrease.
Gotcha.
So they went down to like, 30 years,
right.
basically.
Yeah, they did.
For a while.
They went less than what we're at right now.
Yeah. So like the only thing that's actually increased human lifespan has been science.
Right.
When people began to multiply on the face of the ground and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that they were fair, and they took wives for themselves of all that they chose. Then the Lord said, "My spirit shall not abide in mortals forever, for they are flesh. Their days shall be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went in to the daughters of humans, who bore children to them. These were the heroes that were of old, warriors of renown. The Lord saw that the wickedness of humans was great in the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of their hearts was only evil continually. And the Lord was sorry that he had made humans on the earth, and it grieved him to his heart. So the Lord said, I will blot out from the earth the humans I have created, people together with animals and creeping things and birds of the air, for I am sorry that I have made them. But Noah found favor in the sight of the Lord. Yet again, God seemed to have imperfect knowledge.
Yeah, he had no idea.
He had no idea that these things he created were going to turn so evil, apparently.
Well, and also, like, if you're all powerful,
yeah,
why not just fucking fix them?
Right. Without killing them.
You made them.
Yeah.
Fix their brains.
Right.
If they're being evil. And also, like, what are they doing?
Mm-hmm.
The angels are having sex with the women, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
The Nephilim is the...
Nephilim. Yeah.
Is the angels?
Yeah. That, I mean, I guess. So it's not quite clear if I think the Nephilim are actually...
Demons?
Nephilim are this weird race of beings that supposedly descend from the angels and demons. So they're the giants, the Nephilim are. So the angels are their parents, right?
Okay.
And the angels become, in the tradition is that the angels become demons when they do this, because they have rejected God and all that.
When angels have sex with a human lady,
yeah,
then that's when they become demons.
Either that's when they become demons, or it's because of that God makes them a demon, or something along those lines.
Okay.
And when I say giants, by the way, just for anybody who hasn't heard us talk about it before, this is including the
9 foot tall giant.
Yeah,
quote,
David and Goliath.
Quote, giant.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
9 feet tall is big. It is very big.
It's not what we've traditionally been taught the size of a giant is.
I mean, it's not a human. I do want to point out that there's a big issue with that, with Goliath being descended from these creatures, considering there's about to be a fucking global flood.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to be wiped out from this.
It means the angels can't keep it in their pants.
It means that
they keep coming down and
it
fucking
means
women.
that this is an inconsistency, the contradiction that they.
It sounds like they're taking this from Greek stories with the gods coming down and fucking ladies all the time.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
And creating the gods of whatever you said, but.
Yeah. Oh, the heroes of old.
Yeah.
It very much sounds like Greek. And the Greeks, a lot of their mythology came from this period also. Like, that's one thing that's interesting to me is everybody acts like this is like something special and different than Greek mythology. And it's literally from the same time period.
Right. It's such a small, itty bitty part of the Bible where God is just like, they started having daughters and they saw that the daughters were hot. So
men started having daughters,
yes.
and these angels see that these daughters are hot.
So then they start having sex with the daughters and creating this race.
Nephilim.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And then God decides that humans are evil. Related to that or unrelated to that?
I think it's unrelated. Okay. So he's saying, I'm not going to be cool with humans forever.
Yeah.
You know,
you can only live for 120 years.
Yeah.
And then he's like, or not at all. I'm just going to get rid of all of you.
Right. I know. He sets this limit of 120 years and then nobody follows it.
Right.
Noah's 500 years old when he has his kids.
Right.
You know,
right.
And he continues to live hundreds of more years.
Sure. After that.
Yeah.
Also, like, why put a limit on humans if you're going to kill them all?
Right. Yeah.
If you're going to hit that reset button, you don't really got to do that first thing.
I don't know off the top of my head, but I would be surprised if we haven't had a human at some point in history make it past 120.
122 years old.
122.
A woman.
Yeah, of course.
Jean.
Oh, is this the Louise French lady that would like smoke a cigarette every day?
Yeah, she was born in 1875 and died in 1997.
Yeah. She would like smoke a cigarette every day and like have some chocolate and wine.
Oh, she attributed her longevity to a diet rich in olive oil, an occasional glass of port wine, laughter, and jokes. So maybe this wasn't the smoker lady, but I would just want to point out that all of the oldest people that have ever lived were all women.
Of course. It makes sense. Let's be honest. That makes sense.
It does.
So in Numbers 13:33, we get a reference. Moses sends out spies into Canaan to check out the land. And they report back, there we saw the Nephilim. The Anakites come from the Nephilim. And to ourselves, we seemed like grasshoppers. So they saw like a city of giants is what they're saying.
Right.
There was, and then Joshua 11:22, there was none of the Anakim. I don't know, Anakim, like Anakites, left in the land of Israelites. They remained only in Gaza, in Gath, and in Ishad. And Goliath was from Gath. That's just a little bit of a connection, like from that, but still, again, the flood.
Right. Right.
Speaking of God fucking up, how is God sorry?
Who is he sorry to?
Yeah.
Does he feel bad that he's going to kill all these people? Does he have like guilt about killing all of them?
I think he has guilt about creating them for some reason.
I would say to who? Who is he accountable to?
To himself.
To himself. Did the cabal of gods come to him and are like, these things that you've been playing with suck?
Right.
Bad.
Yeah.
You got to do something about
Did
this.
His council tell him not to do this?
Your winged things keep fucking them and making these crazy things that we don't even know what's going on down there. You got to shake this snow globe. Start over, man.
Yeah.
Just chalk it up to like failed first attempt. Don't give them a tree next time that they can't eat from. Maybe. I don't know. That seemed like a stupid decision.
Right. And also, what was with the other tree? After the success of my first business, Sheds by Peter, I'm doubling down, providing even more comforts to the ghosts with my new venture, Beds by Peter.
Oh, beds for the ghosts, eh?
Oh yeah, you need a good bed when you're a ghost.
What's the point of dying if you can't get a good sleep?
And the beds are good for all kinds of ghosts. Regular ghosts, friendly ghosts, even holy ghosts.
Now, I thought ghosts like to sleep standing straight up and staring at the bare walls.
Yeah, well, some don't.
Good stuff. Do the beds work for people who are alive too?
Oh, sure, they're made out of real stuff like wood and corn. They're just extra good for ghosts.
The ghost of my grandma Gertrude gets so gloomy when she's groggy. Do you have a bed that would perk her up?
Oh, Grandma Gertrude can say goodnight to her sleep problems with the Ecto Sleep Master.
How'd you make it?
I took a pile of trash, bagged it in canvas, and beat the shit out of it with a broom handle.
What craftsmanship?
And if you know a deity who gets sleepy on Sundays, then you should buy the faithful futon.
How majestic. I don't suppose you got something for the ghosts to rest their heads on?
Oh, sure. With every purchase, you get yourself a pious pillow. The heavenliest sleep you'll have since being alive. And way better than that My Pillow crap.
That's like sleeping on Satan's taint. Smells weird and uncomfortably moist.
Better than a coffee mug or a bird feeder. Get your dead loved ones a bed by Peter.
Use promo code BSFA at checkout to get 10% more corn.
Beds by Peter is only available in the continental United States, the only country where if you're going to believe in a ghost, you might as well believe in a sleepy ghost. The Flood. So this is going to be covering content from Genesis 6 through 8. And we're going to be doing this in a little bit of a weird way.
Okay.
Because what most folks don't realize is that there are actually two different accounts of the flood. At some point in ancient history, somebody took these two different stories about a man named Noah and a great flood, and they cut them up by the sentence or even smaller, and they pasted the two stories together in order to create one story. And that's what you see in the book of Genesis. Biblical scholars like Dr. Friedman have been able to untangle these two stories, and you don't have to add or remove any words from the overall story for both to be completely coherent, more coherent than they are when they're combined in the story you see in Genesis, which I think is the best evidence that this is in fact written by multiple people. What we're going to do is we're going to have a reading for both of the different versions on their own. So I'm going to just play for you the first version, which is the priestly version of the flood.
Okay.
These are the descendants of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, blameless in his generation. Noah walked with God. And Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now, the earth was corrupt in God's sight, and the earth was filled with violence. And God saw that the earth was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted its ways upon the earth. And God said to Noah, I have determined to make an end of all flesh, for the earth is filled with violence because of them. Now I am going to destroy them along with the earth. Make yourself an ark of cypress wood. Make some rooms in the ark and cover it inside and out with pitch. This is how you are to make it. The length of the ark, 300 cubits. Its width, 50 cubits. And its height, 30 cubits. Make a roof for the ark and finish it to a cubit above. And put the door of the ark in its side. Make it with lower, second, and third decks. For my part, I'm going to bring a flood of waters on the earth to destroy from under heaven all flesh in which is the breath of life. Everything that is on the earth shall die. but I will establish my covenant with you, and you shall come into the ark, you, your sons, your wife, and your sons' wives with you. And of every living thing of all flesh, you shall bring 2 of every kind into the ark, to keep them alive with you. They shall be male and female, of the birds according to their kinds, and of the animals according to their kinds, of every creeping thing of the ground according to its kind. 2 of every kind shall come into you, to keep them alive. Also, take with you every kind of food that is eaten, and store it up, and it shall serve as food for you and for them. Noah did this. He did all that God commanded him. Noah was 600 years old when the flood of waters came on the earth. Of clean animals and of animals that are not clean, and of birds and of everything that creeps on the ground, 2 and 2, male and female, went into the ark with Noah as God commanded Noah. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, on the 17th day of the month, on that day, all the fountains of the great deep burst forth, and the windows of the heavens were opened. On the very same day, Noah with his sons, Shem and Ham and Japheth, and Noah's wife and the 3 wives of his sons entered the ark. They and every wild animal of every kind, and all domestic animals of every kind, and every creeping thing that creeps on the earth, and every bird of every kind. They went into the ark with Noah, 2 and 2 of all flesh in which there was the breath of life. And those that entered, male and female of all flesh, went in as God had commanded him. And all flesh died that moved on the earth, birds, domestic animals, wild animals, all swarming creatures that swarm on the earth, and all human beings. And the water swelled on the earth for 150 days. But God remembered Noah and all the wild animals and all the domestic animals that were with him in the ark. And God made a wind blow over the earth, and the waters subsided. The fountains of the deep and the windows of the heavens were closed. At the end of 150 days, the waters had abated. And in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. The waters continued to abate until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the 1st day of the month, the tops of the mountains appeared. He sent out a raven, and it went to and fro until the waters were dried up from the earth. In the 601st year, in the 1st month, on the 1st day of the month, the waters were dried up from the earth. In the 2nd month, on the 27th day of the month, the earth was dry. Then God said to Noah, "Go out of the ark, you and your wife and your sons' wives with you. Bring out with you every living thing that is with you of all flesh, birds and animals and every creeping thing that creeps on the earth, so that they may abound on the earth and be fruitful and multiply on the earth." So Noah went out with his sons and his wife and his sons' wives. And every animal, every creeping thing, and every bird, everything that moves on the earth went out of the ark by families.
I know there's a whole other story coming. Is that right?
Yeah.
So I don't really want to ask too many questions yet.
It was a pretty concise story, though. Like it was there was no missing pieces.
Right.
Right.
That is a complete story.
Yeah.
The time frame is different than what most people think of when they think of the flood.
What stands out?
All I can think of is the Jars of Clay song. Wasn't that 40 days?
Yeah, that's the story, is that it's 40 days
of rain. Right.
Yeah.
And this was 150.
In the Priestley version.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And there's...
You remember that Jars of Clay song, right?
Oh, yeah. What was that called again?
And my other questions are probably going to be the same no matter what version. And they're all logistical and probably not important to what we're trying to do.
You want to just wait until we hear the other one? Okay.
Yeah.
So here is the Yahwist version of the flood. And then the Lord said to Noah, "Go into the ark, you and all your household, for I have seen that you alone are righteous before me in this generation. Take with you 7 pairs of all clean animals, the male and its mate, and a pair of the animals that are not clean, the male and its mate, and 7 pairs of the birds of the air also, male and female, to keep their kind alive on all the face of all the earth. For in 7 days I will send rain on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights, and every living thing that I have made will blot out from the face of the ground." And Noah did all that the Lord had commanded him. And Noah, with his sons and his wife and his sons' wives, went into the ark to escape the waters of the flood. And after 7 days, the waters of the flood came on the earth. The rain fell on the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and the Lord shut him in. The flood continued 40 days on the earth, and the waters increased and bore up the ark, and it rose high above the earth. The water swelled and increased greatly on the earth, and the ark floated on the face of the waters. The waters swelled so mightily on the earth that all the high mountains under the whole heaven were covered up. The waters swelled above the mountains, covering them 15 cubits deep, everything on dry land, in whose nostrils was the breath of life, died. He blotted out every living thing that was on the face of the ground, human beings and animals and creeping things and birds of the air. They were blotted out from the earth. Only Noah was left, and those with him in the ark. The rain from the heavens was restrained, and the waters gradually receded from the earth. At the end of 40 days, Noah opened the window of the ark that he had made. Then he sent out a dove from him to see if the waters had subsided from the face of the ground. But the dove found no place to set its foot, and it returned to him to the ark, for the waters were still on the face of the whole earth. So he put out his hand and took it and brought it into the ark with him. He waited another 7 days, and again he sent out a dove from the ark, and the dove came back to him in the evening, and there in its beak was a freshly plucked olive leaf. So Noah knew that the waters had subsided from the earth. Then he waited another 7 days and sent out the dove, and it did not return to him anymore. Noah removed the covering of the ark and looked and saw that the face of the ground was drying.
I actually have way more questions from that version than I do from the first version.
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, I guess they're kind of all the same questions. And again, they're more like, where does all the water go?
Right. That's a good question.
Into the ground.
Yeah. Yeah. So it says that it returns to the deep. So there's a bunch of water underground.
Right. A big doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. They think there's a bunch of water underground.
Right. They also think there's a bunch of water like
above the sky.
Yeah. So if you wanted to get rid of an entire thing, like a species, say you wanted to get rid of an entire species, say you're a monster.
Yeah.
And you just want, for some random reason, maybe they just annoy you. Mm-hmm. You wanted to get rid of let's make this personal to you. You want to get rid of all birds.
Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
You want to get rid of all birds. So you're like, you create this plan. You create this plan to get rid of all birds because you've decided they're too violent.
You know about the plan? You know about my plan?
I feel like you're giving yourself away here. Yeah. You should keep this plan secret.
Everybody's like, environmental thing. Like, it'll end all humanity to do it. No, it'll end all birds.
Birds.
Anyway.
So, okay.
Okay.
Because they annoy you. They're violent.
Yeah.
They attack you when you get too close to their
They
nest.
are the descendants of fucking dinosaurs.
Okay.
All right.
So you make this plan to do it
our ancestors.
because you hate them so much.
Yeah.
You're tired of them. You don't want them around anymore.
Okay.
So you make this plan, but in your plan, you're like, but I'm going to save 2 of each.
Two birds?
Of each.
Of each bird?
Yeah.
Okay.
Male and female. So they can then multiply.
Right.
And repopulate the earth.
Yeah.
How is that?
Right.
Hitting the reset button.
Yeah.
On the thing that made you angry.
Yeah. I don't know what the fucking animals did. Like, why is he killing all the animals? Like, what did the animals fucking do?
They're too violent.
They're too violent, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, like the entire reason why he's having Noah do this, begrudgingly, he's having Noah do this, is because Noah is the only person that's halfway decent. Right.
Sure.
So therefore he gets to do the thing.
Right.
Right. He gets to survive and everything. And all the future descendants come from him. But yeah, the animals didn't do anything.
No. Did God handpick each animal to make sure that they were like capable of
the right ones
propagating their species?
Yeah.
That they weren't the ones that had the bad brain.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because you can't just pick. Listen, some dogs have anxiety and are prone to attack. You really don't want that one being the basis DNA for all dogs to come after that.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
I didn't throw this into the notes or anything, but we have mentioned this on the podcast before. If you're interested, there's also stuff to look up about the Epic of Gilgamesh and stuff like that. There's other stories that go further back about a great flood and this one person who's going to survive and save humanity because of his surviving and stuff like that. Even if I remember correctly, even taking care of animals and stuff like that. There are other stories that this seems to be written from. Like I said, we've covered it before. Right. If you want to, you can look into it.
Well, if you were going to sell a narrative that God is powerful, and does have control over the fate of humanity, whether it's the Christian God or the Jewish God or the Roman God or the Greek gods.
Yeah.
The best way to wipe everything off the face of the earth would be a flood.
Right.
And when you live in an island and all of you is surrounded by water, it's very easy to see how that could happen.
Right.
In your brain, right?
Yeah.
You could imagine that could be something that could happen.
Or even if you are living in an area that's on the coastline of the Mediterranean.
And you can't see, like, there's nothing. Yeah. So it makes sense that this would be a story that, like, anyone could come to. Like, we could exist today without religion. We could be in the plot of the movie, The Invention of Lying.
Yeah.
And somebody decides that they want to create God for some reason.
Yeah.
And that would be the story they would fucking come up with because it's the easiest fucking thing to do is to kill everything with a flood.
Oh, yeah.
Makes God all powerful. It's an easy way to get rid of everything on the face of the earth. You can erase any of the problematic stories that you had already told prior to that.
Right.
And when people are asking questions like, why aren't we all children of incest?
Yeah.
Then they're like, well, we're not because, well, we are just a different family. No, same family, just further down the line.
Yeah. Further down. That's a lot of animals.
The 7 pairs.
The 7 pairs. So
14 of each animal of the clean ones.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. This one. And we'll see why too, that it's different because there is a very specific reason why those two are different. But if you were to look at Noah's Ark versus the Titanic.
Okay.
For example, Noah's Ark was approximately 510 feet long, based on how, people have come up with calculating what a cubit is. That was basically supposed to be your like forearm. A forearm. Yeah. It was not a precise measurement. Approximately 510 feet long, 45 feet high, and 85 feet wide. The Titanic would have been 882 feet long, 175 feet high, and 92 feet wide. So the Titanic was bigger.
Right.
Than the Ark.
Yes.
I don't think you get two of every animal on Earth into the Titanic.
Right. Not with the amount of animals we know exist today.
Yeah.
For sure.
No.
I don't know how many animals they thought existed back then.
No. Well, creationists think literally it's the same. Well, no, that's not entirely true. They think all the kinds. There's this whole thing about kinds.
Right.
And how,
all the
what does kind mean?
We saved 2 horses.
Yeah. Right.
But zebras are also horses.
But zebras I think they would have thought zebras would have come after the flood, that would have been a descendant of, like, they believe in, I remember
they
them.
They believe in a little bit of evolution.
They do. They have a term for it called microevolution, where like generations will have tiny differences between them and everything. And what they don't tell kids is that that's all evolution is. It's just microevolution. Right. Like they act
over
like
and over and over
but
again.
Nobody's been able to prove macroevolution, where things suddenly become a different species. And it's like, nobody thinks that's a thing. Of course they haven't proven it. Nobody's trying to prove that.
Right.
That's the stuff that always angers me.
Yeah.
About my childhood is those fucking people who were like, you knew what you were saying was bullshit.
Right. Of course. Anyway.
The aftermath after the flood. This is the aftermath according to the Yahwist. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord and took of every clean animal and of every clean bird and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And when the Lord smelled the pleasing odor, the Lord said in his heart, I will never again curse the ground because of humans, for the inclination of the human heart is evil from youth. Nor will I ever again destroy every living creature as I have done. As long as the earth endures, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease.
He regretted wiping everything out, it sounds like.
Yet again, he's sorry.
Yeah. Oops.
Fucked up again.
He probably shouldn't have done that.
Yep.
I saw what you guys did on that boat, and I think I made a bad decision.
Yeah. So the priestly text, I'll tell you right now, does not have
aftermath.
No, does not have Noah performing sacrifices.
Oh.
And this is the reason why Noah has to bring 7 clean animals. 7 pairs of clean animals and 1 pair of unclean animals. We
talked about this before.
We did. Well, a long time ago, we talked about this before.
I was like, how do I know this already?
Yeah. So this is why, because according to the priestly source, this talks about differing theologies and political motivations among these sources, right? According to the Yahwist, it is totally fine for Noah to go out and sacrifice to God and everything.
Right.
But according to the priestly source,
you're not supposed to do that
because Noah's not a priest.
Right.
If he wants to talk to God, he has to go through a priest.
There is no priest.
There's no priest yet, but there will be according to the priestly source. And that's going to be Aaron. So the priestly source really tries to go through quickly. Like there's not a ton of priestly writings because They're just trying to get to Aaron.
Right. I see.
You know,
yeah.
Anyway.
There are no caveats for there not being priests. They're not like, well, of course, you can't do it now because of Aaron.
They don't say it. They don't outright say it, but yeah.
You know, when you're the only man that talks to God on the planet, you're kind of just like, okay to do whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah. What's God going to do?
I mean, if anyone is not a priest and could be considered one, it could be like the one man God chose not to kill with the flood.
Yeah, right. You would think. But there's good reasons not to, because Noah's not that great of a guy.
No, I saw that Darren Aronofsky movie.
Yeah. By the way, the Darren Aronofsky movie, great movie for Noah. Like we'll talk about again when it comes to
Enoch.
Yeah. Enoch. One day I want to do a series on that because a lot of that came from Enoch.
Nice.
So here's the priestly version of the aftermath. God blessed Noah and his sons and said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. The fear and dread of you shall rest on every animal of the earth and on every bird of the air, on everything that creeps on the ground and all the fish of the sea. Into your hand they are delivered. Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. And just as I give you the green plants, I give you everything. Only you shall not eat flesh with its life, that is, its blood. For your own lifeblood I will surely require a reckoning. From every animal I will require it, and from human beings, each one for the blood of another. I will require a reckoning for human life. Whoever sheds the blood of a human, by a human shall that person's blood be shed. For in his own image God made humans. And you, be fruitful and multiply, abound on the earth, and have dominion over it." Then God said to Noah and to his sons with him, "As for me, I am establishing my covenant with you and your descendants after you, and with every living creature that is with you, the birds, the domestic animals, and every animal of the earth with you, as many as came out of the ark. I establish my covenant with you, that never again shall all flesh be cut off by the waters of a flood, and never again shall there be a flood to destroy the earth." God said, "This is the sign of the covenant I made between me and you, and every living creature that is with you, for all future generations. I have set my bow in the clouds, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and the earth. When I bring clouds over the earth, and the bow is seen in the clouds, I will remember my covenant that is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. And the water shall never again become a flood to destroy all flesh. When the bow is in the clouds, I will see it and remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is on the earth." God said to Noah, "This is the sign of the covenant that I have established between me and all flesh that is on the earth." Kind of feels like God was getting tired of talking.
Oh my God. Got tired of listening to God talk. He kept just saying the same goddamn thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
The priestly source is definitely the boring source.
Typically.
So I kind of lost the thread.
Yeah, be fruitful and multiply.
Yeah.
You know,
if you kill somebody, then you will also be killed.
Be killed by people.
Yeah.
Do not eat the flesh with its life, that is the blood. So
don't eat blood.
Don't eat blood. This is also why Jehovah's Witnesses don't accept blood when they need it.
Eating and blood transfusions.
Yeah, like they don't take a blood transfusion because they consider that eating blood.
Well, and God's not talking about, he doesn't say don't eat humans. He says don't eat the animals.
Right. Yeah. It's true, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, it's not the same fucking thing.
No, it's absolutely not the same thing.
Yeah. And also, blood can be delicious.
Sure.
There are some really good dishes out there that are made with blood.
Yes. And okay, so his bow in the clouds. When you see his bow in the clouds, what does his fucking bow in the clouds mean? When the little thing I made at you, I was like, is he talking about lightning? Like, what is he talking about?
What do you think he's talking about?
I just told you.
The story of Noah.
Yeah.
And he's saying he's
at his bow in the clouds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think that could be? The story of Noah, where God's making a promise with a bow in the clouds.
What are you insinuating?
It's the rainbow.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It's the rainbow.
Are you serious?
You know that. Like
no.
You didn't know that?
Fuck
like
no.
This is why Christians are like,
I wasn't raised a Christian child. Okay.
Yeah, but this is why Christians are always like, oh, the gays are stealing the rainbow.
I learned
from
what a
God.
rainbow was when I was a kid, and I learned about the refraction of light on water.
Well, that's wrong. It's God's promise not to wipe everybody out pointlessly with a flood again.
That's what the rainbow is?
Yeah.
I see.
And the gays know that, and they're trying to steal it. We have to stop them.
Nothing to do with the spectrum of light.
Yeah.
Idiots.
We need to turn that into a symbol of hate.
Was there ever any Christian backlash against reading Rainbow?
I don't know.
The literates are trying to steal it.
Honestly, there probably was. First of all, reading. The sons of Noah who went out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham was the father of Canaan. These three were the sons of Noah, and from these the whole earth was peopled. Noah, a man of the soil, was the first to plant a vineyard. He drank some of the wine and became drunk. He lay uncovered in his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brothers outside. Then Shem and Japheth took a garment, laid it on both their shoulders, and walked backward and covered the nakedness of their father. Their faces were turned away, and they did not see their father's nakedness. When Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his youngest had done to him, he said, "Cursed be Canaan, lowest of slaves shall he be to its brothers." He also said, "Blessed by the Lord my God be Shem, and let Canaan be his slave. May God make space for Japheth, and let him live in the tents of Shem, and let Canaan be his slave." After the flood, Noah lived 350 years. All the days of Noah were 950 years. And he died.
And then he died.
And he died.
This story, we've talked about this story before because we talked about like the possibility of like
some of the writings may have been slightly altered.
Well, also like, you know, I think we got into the idea that like maybe Ham raped his father.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
it's like it might have been altered because maybe originally he had gone into his father, or something like that, and that's what the nakedness was. But but we don't know.
That's a real fucked up thing to write, though. Honestly, knowing that this did not ever happen.
They're like, maybe we don't want this in our Bible.
Yeah.
He just saw the nakedness.
Like, I don't know, man. Did you ever see your dad naked?
Yeah.
Did he get mad?
No, we showered together when I was a child.
Like,
you know?
Why would he have been so, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Right.
Who cares that you saw your dad's little dick?
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is if it was like originally like he raped his father and everything, I don't know. But like the whole thing about the brothers then like walking backwards with the garment and everything, like because they're so afraid of seeing their father naked.
Yeah.
Like maybe he had a micro penis. I don't like, but even then, like you can own it. You know,
he made 3 sons.
Yeah.
So like,
obviously it worked.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? Maybe his wife like grinding on him like like he had a big clit. Who knows?
Maybe she had a big clit too, and it was, yeah.
I mean, whatever the fuck gets you off,
right?
But it's just such a weird fucking story. It just is so weird.
Yeah,
like he saw his dad naked. Okay, let's just take it literal. Let's not imply that there was some other nefarious thing that happened.
Sure, yeah.
Because that's what it says in the Bible, and that's what people are reading.
Yeah.
So he saw his dad naked, went and told his brothers.
Yeah.
I saw dad naked. Also passed out drunk.
No issue with that.
So he goes and tells his brothers, like, basically, like, hey, man, dad's out in the fucking fields with his dick out.
Yeah. Well, I think he was in his tent. I think is what it said. Yeah.
So I went into dad's tent, and dad's laying there with his dick out. Dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
And his dick is out. It's wild. You should go see it.
You guys want to like handle that or something?
I'm the youngest. I feel like this is not my responsibility. I am traumatized by this. I would suggest that maybe when you guys go in there, you walk backwards. So you don't. Our dad has like the biggest bush you've ever seen.
Like, dad's got a weird dick.
So
guys, I'm sorry to tell you, dad's
big.
got a weird dick.
I actually can't even say that I saw his dick because there's so much bush there. I'm not entirely certain he doesn't have a vagina.
Yeah.
It's just all bush. So if you want to spare yourself and not have to go to therapy later, like I'm going to have to, you should walk backwards and maybe cover him up because you definitely don't want like your wife's walking in there and seeing him like that. Was Shem the oldest? I was just trying to figure out why he was getting better treatment.
He probably is. Shem is the old. I imagine Shem is the oldest.
Okay.
But Shem is getting special treatment because Shem is where Shemites come from. Semites.
Oh.
You know? Semitic.
Okay.
The Semitic religions such as Judaism. And
Okay. Because I was like, well, they both walked backwards and covered up their dad. Why is Shem like, and then Japheth is allowed to sleep in Shem's tent or whatever the fuck they said.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, well, they both did the same thing.
I know. You know, so if you're somebody who wants to believe that Black people should be slaves, then it's beneficial to think that they're descended from Canaan. Anybody you want to like dislike racially, you would just decide, oh, I bet that they're a descendant of Ham. But
yes, biblical racism.
Yes, there's a lot of it. It's
okay because God said so.
Because it's perfect.
It's okay because it's ancient.
Yeah. God seemed to care a lot about keeping bloodlines pure in the Old Testament. Yeah.
Gosh.
I know.
I mean, if you really think about it, hard. Not even that hard. Even if you want to like espouse that the Bible says it's okay to have slaves because they're descendants of Ham, at the end of the day, they're all still related. The branches all come from one tree in this story. Yeah,
it resets it again. Where like we were, like you said, we were all descended from Adam and Eve, and then all of a sudden now we're all descended from Noah.
But at least in the Adam and Eve story, there were like hints that there were other people that somehow came out of thin air.
Right.
That maybe
there's some hints that that's the case too with this of just if for no other reason, then where the fuck does society come from so fucking fast?
Right.
You know,
it takes a long time to make that many people.
Yeah, but it seems like within 2 generations, there's cities.
Right.
Shit.
Yeah.
You know, and nobody knows each other again.
Yeah.
And it's obviously like they didn't know how long the Earth had been around. Right. They didn't understand that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Do yourselves all a favor and always walk into every room backwards, because you never know when your dad will be there with his dick out.
Wife!
What? Noah?
Wake up! I've had a vision from God.
Ugh. Did you have Nimrod bash your head in with a rock again?
No. And for your information, it's called getting stoned, and I have a patent pending. Seriously, God told me that I have to build a boat.
No, he didn't.
Yeah-huh. You better not doubt him. You know what Grandpa used to say about angering the Lord.
Yeah, God's a total psycho. Steer clear.
Well, now I'm God's main guy. He says I'm righteous. He wants to wipe out everyone else in a flood, but we get to survive.
What about the kids?
Them too, and their wives.
And what? Our grandkids just have sex with each other? You realize Adam and Eve's kids doing that is what led to all these horrible people that God loves, but is determined to kill.
No, this time will be different. No one will be horrible after the flood. Why would God kill everyone, including babies and pregnant women, if it didn't actually change anything?
Delusions of grandeur, hearing voices, wanting a boat? What is this? A 600-year-old midlife crisis?
You're probably not going to like the part about the animals then.
What animals?
So, we also have to save some of the animals. Otherwise, we won't have anything to eat.
How many?
Either 2 or 14 of every animal on Earth.
What? How big is the boat?
It's huge. It's like 40 average American barns.
Noah, you know perfectly well that the average American barn is only about 60 feet long, 40 feet wide, and 20 feet high. That's not enough space for 2 or 14 of all the animals on Earth.
Maybe we don't have to save all of them. I mean, do we really need unicorns when we have horses? Or fireproof foxes when we have normal ones? Do we really need dinosaurs when we have politicians?
What about the plants? We're saving all the animals, but this will kill all the plant life too.
Let's just not think about that.
It has been fun living like the Flintstones, but maybe it is time. I can't believe we let it get this bad. This really is embarrassing.
Hey, don't worry. I bet God is embarrassed too. I mean, he created us exactly as we are, so really, who's to blame for the world getting this bad? I bet God will remove all evidence of this, so within a few thousand years, no one can even tell there was a global flood.
I wish I had a name.
Well, that was fun. Next time on BSFA, we have the Tower of Babel. And then we meet Abram/Abraham.
Yes.
For the first time.
Yes.
There's a big piece of evidence that Moses did not write the book of Genesis. And the War of the 9 Kings. Every bit as epic as it sounds.
It's a lot of stuff we talk about.
Yeah.
In the next episode.
Anyway, thank you for listening. We love you. And remember, you're worth more than many sparrows to us. They all lived miserably ever after. Thank you so much for checking out our podcast. Help us grow the audience by sharing us with your friends or giving us a share on social media. And we love hearing from you. You can reach out on our website at bsfa.cc.
Always walk into every room backwards because you never know when your dad will be there with his dick out.
Just really good life advice. On that note, I'm actually not going to, because I still do want us to record outros separately.
Just stop it.
Yeah.
Just fucking stop it.
Just fucking stop it.
Fucking stop it.
Just fucking stop it. All right, I'm going to stop it.